One of the things, I know I'm going to sound like the old guy with the lawn and in my day, but one of the things I don't like, there's a few things I don't like about modern television, even though there is a lot to love about modern television. We live in a truly unprecedented, amazing time to be watching some great TV today. But there are still a couple things that bug me. I don't like the short seasons. I'm not a big fan of that. But one of the other things that bugs me is, oh, that was a great season. In about 4 years, we should get season 2. Yay! Like I'm that bothers me a bit. It's like, it wasn't that long ago. They were making 23 episode seasons and cranking them out every year. But at any rate, Last of Us, man. When Last of Us came out, obviously very popular game. A lot of people had a lot of high hopes. But I don't know if those high hopes came along with high expectations because, of course, the video game genre sucks whenever they've tried to put stuff out, with some very, very, very few exceptions. Last of Us was a completely different creature. Last of Us might still be the best thing on TV. I was absolutely floored by how good it was. They kept the stuff they needed to keep from the game, and in other things that they changed, they kept the spirit of the game, even though they changed certain things. They always kept the spirit of it. And it was just some of the most remarkable stuff I've ever seen. It was just absolutely phenomenal. However, very shortly after the season ended, we got word that it'll probably be about 2.5 years till we get season 2. I'm like, what? Come on now. But at any rate, obviously it could be even longer, because now we have some strikes going on. But according to this new story in Deadline, the series co-creator Neil Druckmann, who also created the game, is saying that, hey, we're ready to go. As soon as these strikes are over, we are absolutely ready to go and roll with this. He talks about that they had been able to make, before the strikes, a lot of progress. They said the entire second season is completely framed out. Everything's ready to go. They've been able to accomplish a bunch of stuff even while the strikes are going on. How? I'm not sure. I don't know if there are some exceptions about there for a showrunner who's also an executive producer of a show or whatever. That's whatever. So yeah, listen, this is exciting to me, because even once they start making this, we're probably still going to be 2 years removed from it coming out, which I really don't like this. I don't like having to go this long. I don't even know when second season of Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, comes out. But at any rate, this is at least encouraging to hear that enough progress has been made that they can get the wheels going again. Guys, we want to thank a sponsor of this video, HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. Kickstart a fresh fall routine with HelloFresh. HelloFresh handles all the meal planning and shopping to deliver everything you need to cook up a tasty meal right at home. They do the hard part, and you get to take the credit. HelloFresh takes the stress out of mealtime by delivering fresh ingredients and easy recipes right to your door. So this fall, skip that extra trip to the grocery store and have dinner ready in no time with America's #1 meal kit. Like we've mentioned before, Ann and I are both working professionals, and mealtime is sometimes a bit stressful. That's why we absolutely love HelloFresh. It's nutritious, it's delicious, and we actually have a really good time making dinner together. So guys, go to hellofresh.com/50Campea and use the code 50Campea for 50% off plus 15% off the next 2 months. That's hellofresh.com/50Campea and use the code 50Campea. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. Rob, obviously this is a show you also really enjoyed a lot. What do you think about his comments here? Does that surprise you that they've been able to make this much progress? And realistically, when do you think the earliest is we're going to be able to maybe see a season 2?
Well, I think, with a strike on, people don't want to rest on their laurels. And while they can't officially work on things, I think Druckmann and Craig Mazin, it's really their show. And they're going to have to do the work anyway. And as they protest and do things, people who are creative don't stop work on something just because they're necessarily on strike. They're not being paid to do it. Eventually they're going to have to get paid to write their scripts at some point. So if they've got it And they might have, by the way, John, I don't know this, but it took a long time to make this show, so they could have they could have had scripts written before the strike began.
True.
And so they've just been figuring out how to produce the show, how to make like maybe the location work that they did in that show was amazing. The Canadian locations, they found different cities. I thought that was really phenomenal. They could have been doing that, just traveling around, looking at things that were unrelated to writing, but they are producers as well. So who knows what they were doing. But if they're ready to go and can hit the ground running and they shoot the whole thing at once, we might get it within a year after the strike's over. I would imagine, because it's going to be hard to schedule everybody because everyone's going to be trying to rush to make things. But I think this is really great. And I felt that The Last of Us, it's exactly the kind of thing I wanted, where I felt that Craig Mazin and Druckmann knew what they were doing. They knew what they wanted to make. We, as the audience, were recipients of people that really understood their vision and delivered exactly what they wanted to, which is a great adaptation of the game. The acting was exemplary. The writing was terrific. The effects work, everything about that show was first rate. And as a video game adaptation, I was blown away. And as a genre show in general, I thought it was terrific.
By the way, it's not quite Game of Thrones numbers. 24 Emmy nominations, including for Best Drama Series. 24 Emmy nominations, including Best Drama Series. If you'd asked me just like 3 years ago, you think you're ever going to see a video game adaptation TV show get nominated for like Best Drama Series? Nah, and yet here we are.
Well, it's because they had people that took the subject, took the original material and devoted such faith and talent to it and took it seriously and gave us something that was top tier on every level.
Yeah. And the funny thing just too is, and where they made change, because they did not treat the source material as sacrosanct, right?
Right.
And where they did make changes, again, they maintained the spirit of it, but every change they made actually elevated it. Episode 3, which it's funny because you don't even have to say what it is. All you got to say in TV crowds is say episode 3. Everybody knows what you're talking about. They're talking about the Ron Swanson episode sorry, what's the actor?
Nick Offerman.
Nick Offerman,
Yeah.
thank you. But I prefer to think that this is the what happened after Parks and Rec Ron Swanson. He's the survivalist, but everybody knows what you're talking about, right? While those characters had their roots in the game, that's an original episode. And that episode kind of came to epitomize the spirit of the show. Be really true to the game, and where we do change it, any change we make has to do two things. It has to elevate it, and it has to stay true to the spirit of it, even if it's not the actual events of the game. And they did that brilliant mixture of frame for frame from the video game, while original stuff that elevated the content. It was a phenomenal accomplishment.
Really was.
Absolutely loved it. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.